All right, let's dive in. If you're even thinking about buying a home, you probably know the journey starts way before you ever set foot in an open house. Today, we're going to break down that very first and, honestly, most crucial step, the one that really just happens inside your own head. Does this sound familiar? I mean, this is it. This is that exact cocktail of feelings that just hits you when the idea of owning a home starts to feel real. And if you're feeling this, you're not alone. This is pretty much universal. You know, for everybody, this whole thing kicks off with a single moment. We can call it the awakening. It's that instant when a vague, someday idea suddenly snaps into sharp focus, and it's almost always triggered by something real happening in your life. And what's so interesting is how different these triggers are for everyone. I mean, for you, it might be that gut punch moment you actually add up how much money you've poured into rent over the years. For somebody else, it's looking around and realizing, wow, we are literally out of space here. Or hey, maybe it's not some big dramatic event, but just this quiet, nagging feeling that says, you know what, it's time. And this quote, it just nails the central problem, right? You have this powerful, driving feeling of, I want this, and it just slams right up against this giant wall of, I have absolutely no idea where to even begin. It's that classic feeling of knowing where you want to go, but you can't even find the first step on the map. So that internal battle is exactly why so many of us get completely, totally stuck. That first rush of excitement fades, and this feeling of just being overwhelmed takes over, and all that forward momentum just grinds to a halt. I mean, look at this. This slide just lays out that internal tug-of-war perfectly. On one side, you've got everything you want, the excitement, the dream of having your own place, that feeling of stability. But pulling in the exact opposite direction is the fear, the confusion, feeling vulnerable, and that one question that just paralyzes people, where do I even start? And it really boils down to two big reasons why people just freeze up right here. First, the idea of talking to your professional, it feels really vulnerable, right? Like you're putting yourself out there and admitting you don't have it all figured out. And second, the internet, which you'd think would help, just buries you in this absolute avalanche of information, and a lot of it contradicts itself.
But what if there was a way to just cut through all of that noise and confusion? Well, it turns out there is. There's one simple, kind of counterintuitive move that unlocks the entire process.
This is the big question, isn't it? After all the daydreaming and the worrying and the late-night searching, what is the actual, tangible, smartest first thing you should do?
Okay, here it is. This is the biggest myth that holds people back. So many of us think we need to have a perfect credit score, a giant down payment, and all our ducks in a perfect row before we're even allowed to talk to an expert. And here is the simple truth that flips that whole idea on its head. That first conversation, it's not the final exam you have to study for. It is the study guide. Talking to someone is the thing that gets you ready by giving you a clear, personalized roadmap. So who are these people we're talking about? Well, it's usually one of two key pros. You've got the loan officer. Their job is to look at your finances and show you your actual buying power. No guesswork. Then you've got the real estate agent. They're your guide for the actual home search, once you know what your budget is. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of how this really works, because that one simple conversation is literally the key that turns a vague dream into a real, honest-to-goodness plan. If you have to pick just one, talking to a loan officer is truly step one. They're not there to judge you, they are there to do the math. They take your documents, they run the numbers, and they give you the single most important piece of the puzzle, what you can realistically afford.
Look how simple this actually is when you break it down. It all starts with just one conversation. That conversation leads to one incredibly important piece of paper, a pre-approval letter. And the moment you have that letter in your hand, the dream stops being a what if. It becomes real.
And I can't stress this enough that pre-approval is everything. Without it, you're basically just window shopping. You've got no real direction, you don't know your actual options, and there's no official next step to take. You should think of that letter as the literal key that unlocks the door to your home search.
Okay, so you've got your pre-approval, you've got the key. Now the focus shifts. You're ready to actually start looking at houses. And believe me, the person you pick to guide you through this part matters a lot. A great real estate agent does so much more than just unlock doors. They really become part of your team, part of your journey. They'll introduce you to other people you need, they'll make sure you understand the next steps, they'll give you the inside scoop on neighborhoods, and maybe most importantly, they help you ask the questions you would have never even thought to ask.
And when you boil all that down, the guidance, the answers, the introductions, it really just comes down to one word: communication. At its heart, buying a home is just a long series of conversations. It's all the calls and texts and emails that keep everything moving forward.
And that leads to maybe the most important piece of advice here. Trust your gut. When you talk to a loan officer or an agent, it should not feel like a slick, high-pressure sales pitch. It should just feel like a normal, helpful conversation with someone you feel like you can trust. You're looking for a partner in this, not just a salesperson.
So, if you've been stuck, just circling this idea, feeling that mix of excitement and total fear, just remember this. Your first step isn't to have all the answers. Your first step is just to have a conversation. It really is that simple. So the only question left is, who are you going to talk to?